Hi all, I'm going to make the eyes for a cute little teapot. It has a Tunisian style tea cozy, which will be in another video. This is just for the eyes that go on the drip catcher on the spout. And then the little, I don't know what these are called, but on teapots a lot of times you'll get drips. So I made the drip ring and then I added little eyes. So he's either a hermit crab or a little snail. But yeah, he's just a little guy with a little shell, and his eyes are, I don't know if you can see them. But that's the little guy that I made. Of course, the eyes are black in the middle. That isn't going to be easy for you to see either. But I'm only going to do a ring with the 8 single crochets. So it's 4 chains. So I did a slip knot. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. I go back into the first chain and I do a slip stitch. So it's a slip knot, 4 chains, and then a slip stitch. And then you find that center and yarn over and pull over 2. And then you make a single crochet. And you're going to do that 8 times. This is 2, 3. Make sure you crochet over your tail so that you can pull it tight at the end and anchor it. Okay, so I will meet you back when I get to 8 single crochet. Okay, so I've made 8 single crochet. That's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, and let's just go ahead and cut that and pull it through. You pull the center so that it's nice and tight. And then you follow along in the direction that you were already going. You just go a couple more stitches. Just make sure that you pull it nice and tight. And then skip over a yarn and then go back the other way. You have to go back and forth a couple times. And pull the yarn tight. There we go. I gotta go back one more time. This is a lovely sparkly yarn, but it is an uneven sparkle, so I may not even be able to use this iris because it is so sparkly. And let's go ahead and hide the tail now. So I go forward, like here is where it pulled through the last loop. I'm going to go forward and then go into and out the back in the middle of the stitch. And that pulls the last stitch forward. And then you can go around again. You don't have to do quite as many turns, and you don't have to go as tight. This is just to hide this end. make sure you go on the back. And 3 stitches, 3 passes. Just remember that. 3 stitches, 3 passes. Oh my God, I wish he would stop this. Every time I try to film, he starts crying. Okay, so that's the first iris, or whatever this is, the dark part of the eye. Okay, so these eyes came out looking the same. The yarn that I was using has like a thick glitter and a thin glitter variegation. So the only yarn I've ever seen that variegated glitter. But as you can see, these have very little glitter in it. So that was in one section of the yarn, and this is from another section of the yarn, and they have a lot more glitter. So now I'm going to take a white yarn that is a little thinner than this, but it's okay. So now I'm going to just stick my hook. Now I'm going to only use the back loop. Make sure you're working from the front. That means the two V's will be facing more towards your side. Now get your slip knot on your hook after you go into the back loop only of any stitch. Okay, you pull through, and then you just do a slip stitch, and that will, you tighten the yarn at the bottom here, this tail, tighten your tail, tighten your yarn, and then go back into the same loop and do a single crochet. Now keep doing single crochets in the back loop only, and since this is a much thinner yarn, I'm probably going to do 2. Well, it's not much thinner, it's just a little bit thinner. But I'm going to do 2 double crochets in every stitch in the back loop only. The reason why I do it in the back loop only is if you do it in both loops, you get a jagged line going around your eyeball. The black iris will have like a kind of a starburst looking quality instead of a nice clean straight line. The second, since there's 2 loops here, the second loop will kind of cover the back loop. There we go. Okay. And if you don't want to do 2 stitches in every loop, you could do like every other one is you'll do 2 stitches in. Just see how it's going. If it's filling in nicely, you don't have to do every single one, or you can do every other one. This is technically the second row of a circle. So, and then when you finish, you go under both stitches of the first stitch that you put in, the first single crochet, and then just pull it through that last stitch, and then pull the hook all the way through, and there is your eye. I'll do the other one, and then I will show you how I hide the yarn. It's very similar to the center. Okay, so we finished the eyes. We're going to just hide the yarn. So I'm going to hide the first tail from the beginning of the work that's down here in this row. And I'm just going to go behind these legs of the stitches. I only need to do 3 stitches, 3 passes. You just have to make sure that you loop it further out one more So like here's the last thread, and you just go a little further. One more. Okay, that's the third pass. All right, we're going to do the outside, the last tail. That's on the outside edge. And it is just an unfinished stitch. As you can see, this is the last stitch we pulled through, and then we cut it. So then we're going to go down into the top of the stitch. We just go down to the top of the next stitch and go out the back underneath. Okay, so what that does is that pulls that last stitch forward so it stays anchored. And then just go under three stitches, the legs of the stitches in the back. And I gotta kind of work it in there, because you have to go outside of it. If you keep going under the same legs, you'll just keep pulling it through. Oops. So you have to go out one more to loop it. Okay. And then just kind of stretch it back into shape, because sometimes when you've done your work with the needle hiding the threads, it kind of pushes your stitches out of shape. But there we go. There's one of the eyes. I'll finish this one and I'll come back and I'll show you how to do the little glimmer. Okay, so we have the eyes complete except for the little glimmer. It is the twinkle in the eye, but it actually is a it's a light reflection. So when you see reflections in eyes, they are usually on the same side, because your light source is what is making this reflection. Okay, when you see kawaii eyes with the light glimmers on the opposite sides, that is somebody who does not understand how light reflecting off of eyes work, and don't even understand what the twinkle in the eye is actually, you know, in reality supposed to be. So I've folded a small piece of yarn in half, and I threaded it over the loop. And then I pulled it through so the two ends are sticking out here and the loop is down here. I came up through the back and I pulled it almost all the way through, and then I'm going to go over like 2 stitches. You know, just barely get over one side. Okay, so it's going back in very close, and then you go through the loop before you pull it all the way through, and you try to tie that pull that a little bit tight, but not too tight, because you're going to have to pick it back out again, because you want it to be puffy. You don't want it to get buried down in the stitches. Now the other thing I've been doing is I've been knotting it by taking one thread. You may not have to do this, but you might want to just go through one time with the 2 yarns. I'm going through 3 times because I really want it to stand out. I don't want it to disappear down into the iris. Okay, that's it. Now it also allows you to have, you can make a little knot in the back because you have this yarn coming out from two different directions on either side and the back. So you can do just a little knot. Okay, and there you go. There is your glimmer, twinkle, whatever you want to call it. There's actually a technical term for it in photography, and it is practically an art form in photography on how to add these in with Photoshop. Okay, so now leave this long set of tails, because what this will you'll do is on the drip catcher, you will use these two to tie them, sew them into your drip catcher. So then you'll have your little eyes on the drip catcher. Can you see that? Okay. So I will do the next one. Okay, so we're going to put the eyes on. I've already done this one. I have 2 threads coming off the back where the little twinkles are. So I want one twinkle to be in the upper right hand side, as I've decided that that's where my twinkles are going to be, the upper right hand side. So one of the threads that came off the twinkle is going directly into the spot where I want the twinkle to be. And I'm going to turn that a little bit. Okay. So that's where that's going through. Now this twinkle, this thread off of the twinkle, yarn off the twinkle, the back of the twinkle, is going to go directly on the other side, and I'm just going to catch the back of one of the yarns in the back. Don't want it to show in the front. And then we're going to just put this down in diagonal to the other one. See how these two are diagonal? Now let's pull them tight, and there it is. The twinkle is set in place, and the eye is not going to move. It's not going to turn. If you have another way of attaching things like this, let me know in the comments. Share with the class, because we would all love to know. So now I'm just going to hide the yarn in the back. There we go. Alright, so that is finished. The eyes are done. Catch the next video where we learn how to make the rest of the tea cozy. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have you any questions? Put them in the comments below. Crochet your way today, because it's the only time we have.